For years, I lived quietly under the oppressive rule of our HOA, but when they slapped me with a fee hike for having too many cars in my driveway, they crossed a line. They didn't know that I'd been secretly buying up the neighborhood for years, and now it was time to reveal who held the power. Would the HOA president, Linda Harper, back down when I exposed my plan, or would she fight to the bitter end? Last Wednesday, I found a neon yellow notice taped to my door. My hands trembled as I read it. Immediate HOA fee increase, $600 monthly. Violation, excessive vehicles. 3 cars, my pickup for my landscaping business, my wife Emily's sedan for her nursing shifts, and the beat-up Toyota we got for our son's 17th birthday. 3 normal cars, parked neatly in our driveway. From my kitchen, I spotted Linda Harper, our HOA president, strutting down the street with her green clipboard and measuring tape, snapping photos of my driveway for the 4th time that week. "Sweetheart, she's out there again," Emily sighed from the couch. "Maybe we should park the Toyota in the garage?" "No way," I said, gripping my coffee mug. "We're not hiding our kid's car like criminals. The garage is packed with your medical supplies and my tools, just like we told them at the last meeting." That meeting still burned in my memory. I'd explained our situation, but Linda had smirked, barely glancing up from her phone. "Rules are rules, Mr. Carter," she'd said. "If you can't afford proper storage, maybe this community isn't for you." What she didn't know was that for 6 years, I'd been buying properties in our subdivision through my investment firm, Green Haven Holdings. Using different LLCs, I'd snapped up every house that hit the market. It started as a business move, but now it was personal. Outside, Linda pretended to inspect Mrs. Larson's azaleas while side-eyeing me as I grabbed the mail. Poor Mrs. Larson got fined last month for flowers. Too bright for neighborhood harmony. My phone pinged, a text from my attorney. "Final closing done. You own 70% of the subdivision." I smirked, pocketing the phone as Linda marched over, clipboard in hand. "Mr. Carter," she chirped, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. "I trust you saw the notice about your vehicle violation?" "I did, Linda," I replied coolly. "I've got questions about the legal grounds for this fee hike." She waved me off. "The board has full authority. Attend a meeting sometime, and you might understand." Her smile was all teeth. She didn't know I'd been at every meeting via proxies, documenting her every power trip, selective fines, shady fees, all of it. As she strutted away, she called back. "Emergency meeting tonight, 7 p.m. Sharp. We're discussing problem properties." My son's Toyota rolled into the driveway just then. Linda stopped, snapped more photos, and my blood boiled. But I stayed calm. Tonight, everything would change. I spread out my property maps at home, each lot marked with my ownership. 6 years of planning, fueled by memories of my dad losing his home to a ruthless HOA decades ago. He taught me to fight smart, not loud. 5 hours until the meeting, Linda was about to learn she'd picked the wrong target. The community center was packed, the air thick with tension. Neighbors whispered as Linda, in a glittery blue blazer, tapped her gavel. She'd hired a photographer to make my 3 cars look like a junkyard in her PowerPoint. "Let's begin," she declared, knowing a Tuesday night meeting would exclude working families. I sat in the back, watching her performance. "Mr. Carter's property is a car lot," she sneered, clicking through slides. Gasps came from her cronies up front, the same ones whose tacky lawn gnomes never got fined. She showed a zoomed-in shot of my son's Toyota, claiming it sat illegally for 48 hours, never mind that he was home from college. She flashed charts of property value drops and anonymous complaints, likely her pals. Then a binder. "I've tracked every vehicle at the Carter residence for 3 months." Neighbors shifted uneasily. That's when Mrs. Patel, my neighbor, stood up. "Linda, isn't this obsessive? They're just cars in their driveway." "You're out of order," Linda snapped. Her husband, Greg, passed out a new bylaw proposal, 2 cars max per household, garage parking only. Ridiculous. Linda called for a vote, no discussion. My moment. I stood, adjusting my tie. Point of order, Madam President. Her eyes narrowed. You're not recognized, Mr. Carter. Per HOA Bylaw 7.3, any owner can raise voting procedure issues, I said, pulling out my folder. The room hushed. Before we vote, let's review the HOA's ownership structure. I walked to the front, laying out a property map. As CEO of Green Haven Holdings, I own 70% of this subdivision. Linda's face paled. Murmurs erupted. That makes me the majority HOA owner. I continued, eyeing the board. But first, let's discuss your surveillance habits. Phones came out, recording. Linda fumbled with her water, knocking over her gavel. Greg whispered frantically in her ear. She was unraveling. I opened my briefcase, spreading out property deeds. For 6 years, I've watched this board ignore potholes while harassing neighbors over petty nonsense. Mrs. Larson, 80, fined for a flower pot an inch too wide, while Linda's friend Carla's neon fence gets a pass. Linda's face reddened. Here's Linda measuring my lawn at 2 a.m., I said, showing security footage on the screen. Gasps. And here, she ignores violations from folks who hire her daughter's cleaning service. The room buzzed. Most importantly, I said, lifting the deeds, I control 70% of this HOA. It's legal, triple-checked by lawyers. I dropped another folder. Here are 35 resident complaints about harassment and shady fees. Mrs. Larson stood, voice quaking. They fined me $250 for unshoveled snow while I was hospitalized. Others shared stories. Linda banged her gavel, but no one listened. I moved to dissolve the board for new elections with term limits. Mr. Kim, a teacher, seconded. Hands shot up. Linda bolted for the door, yelling, This meeting's adjourned. Per Bylaw 7.3, you need a majority to adjourn, I called. You don't have it. She froze, defeated. Now, about those $60,000 pool fees with no pool repairs. Let's see the bank records. Linda slumped pale. A news van pulled up outside. I tipped them off about our community shake-up. Monday, my lawyer's office was flooded with Linda's voicemails, threatening to sue for secretly seizing the HOA. She'd gone door to door, spreading lies that I'd turned the neighborhood into a trailer park. Some believed her fake documents tied me to a sketchy developer. My cameras caught her at 1 a.m., photographing my car's plates. She filed a lawsuit to block my voting rights. In court, we unleashed 6 years of evidence, videos of Linda's selective enforcement, checks showing she funneled HOA funds to her patio remodel, emails bragging about keeping out undesirables. The judge's jaw dropped at 2 a.m., footage of Linda measuring my grass. Former board members testified she'd bullied them into unfair rules and bragged about funding Hawaii trips with fines. Her social media posts mocking elderly residents sealed it. Thanks, rule breakers, for my Maui Vaki. Linda lost it, screaming I'd ruin the neighborhood with those kinds of people. The judge dismissed her suit, ordered a financial audit, and made her repay $16,423.17 in unfair fees. Outside, she emailed her resignation, blaming corporate greed. I knew she'd rally her loyalists, but I had the law on my side. At the final hearing, Linda sent news vans to my house, thinking I'd crack. Instead, I greeted them with spreadsheets showing her cronies got light fines while single moms paid heavy. Reporters gasped at Linda's rule-breaking purple mailbox and her son's 5 cars parked on the street. In court, we played her pool party rant. I invent violations to control who lives here. The judge removed her from the board and ordered repayments. I used my ownership to form a new board, Mrs. Patel, Mr. Kim, and 3 others, all fed up with Linda's tyranny. We allowed basketball hoops, veggie gardens, and 3-car driveways. Linda moved away, her new HOA ticketing her car. Our property values rose 18% in a month, Turns out, people love fair neighborhoods. A TV producer pitched a documentary on our turnaround. As I watched kids play and neighbors chat, I got a text from Linda's new neighborhood watch, begging for help with their own HOA tyrant. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't personal, it's empowering others to fight back. What do you think? Was my long game takedown of Linda justified, or did I go too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's debate HOA power trips and standing up to bullies. Hit that like button if you're Team Fair Neighborhood, and subscribe for more real-life drama. Your comment might spark the next big discussion.